The history of military codes is filled with attempts to create secure communication systems that could withstand enemy espionage. For example, during World War I, the Allies used codes based on languages such as Choctaw to confuse the Central Powers, though on a smaller scale than the Navajo in World War II. Additionally, systems like Nazi Germany's famous Enigma code were considered nearly indecipherable until Alan Turing's team at Bletchley Park broke them down. These examples demonstrate an evolution in the struggle for secure communications, culminating in the brilliant use of the Navajo language as an unbreakable code, something that no machine or codebreaker could overcome during the conflict. However, during World War II, a group of Native American men, members of the Navajo tribe, revolutionized how coded messages were transmitted. Their contribution was so extraordinary that it became one of the war's best-kept secrets and is widely recognized as a critical factor in the Allied victory in the Pacific. This is a deep dive into this fascinating story, filled with details, quotes, and names that help shape historical events. During World War II, the Allies faced enormous challenges in protecting their communications. The Japanese were notorious for their skill in deciphering codes and intercepting messages. Traditional cryptography was becoming increasingly vulnerable. The solution to this dilemma came from an unexpected idea: using a language that was not only rare, but also almost impossible to comprehend without cultural immersion. The Navajo language, spoken by a relatively small group of Native Americans, was incredibly complex. With different grammatical structures and a vocabulary practically non-existent outside the community, it proved ideal for creating a code system that would completely baffle the enemy. The idea to use the Navajo language was initially suggested by Philip Johnston, a civil engineer who had grown up on a Navajo reservation in Arizona. Johnston, who spoke the language fluently, was aware of its complexity and how it could be adapted for military use. In 1942, he presented his proposal to the United States Marine Corps, USMC. Johnston explained that Navajo was not a written language, and that only a small number of people outside the community understood it. This characteristic not only made it uncommon, but also provided a natural barrier against espionage. In a cultural context, the Navajo language was deeply tied to oral traditions, with stories, myths, and knowledge passed down through generations, preserving the identity of a marginalized people. During World War I, indigenous languages like Choctaw had also been used on a smaller scale as codes, but Navajo stood out due to its unique linguistic complexity, with sounds and structures that defied anyone without intensive training. The exploitation of this singularity was a historic milestone, uniting an ancient cultural heritage with an innovative military strategy. As Johnston stated in his presentation, there is no other encoding system as airtight as a language the enemy does not even recognize. After the plan was approved, USMC recruiters traveled to Navajo communities in search of bilingual volunteers. 32 young Navajos were initially selected and subjected to rigorous training in military communications. Among the first volunteers were names like Chester Nez, Lloyd Oliver, and John Benally, who would later become heroes. These men helped create an exclusive code dictionary based on Navajo words. Each letter of the alphabet was associated with a Navajo word. For example, ant, Ewalachi, represented the letter A. Military terms were also adapted. For instance, tank was turtle, Chedinal. The Code Talkers were deployed in almost all major Pacific theater campaigns, including Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. In Guadalcanal, for example, they faced extreme conditions, such as dense jungles and constant enemy attacks, but still managed to transmit critical messages that helped coordinate ground and naval forces. In Iwo Jima, the pressure was even greater. Survivors like Chester Nez and Samuel Sandoval recounted that each message sent could determine the success or failure of an operation. Howard Connor, the chief communications officer in the battle, stated that the 6 code talkers in his unit during the first 2 days transmitted more than 800 messages, all without error. In Okinawa, the contributions of the code talkers were equally essential. Harsh weather conditions, combined with fierce Japanese resistance, made the precision and speed of message transmission crucial to saving lives and ensuring strategic advances. Each of these scenarios highlighted not only the bravery, but also the invaluable importance of the code talkers in the war effort. Amid the chaos of battle, they operated under extreme pressure, transmitting vital messages in seconds, where traditional systems would have taken minutes. One of the most iconic moments occurred during the Battle of Iwo Jima. According to Major Howard Connor, who commanded communications during the battle, if not for the Navajos, the Marines would not have taken Iwo Jima. 6 code talkers worked tirelessly, transmitting more than 800 messages without a single error. Despite their vital role, the code talkers remained largely unknown after the war. Their codes were so valuable that they remained classified for decades. It was only in 1968 that their work began to be publicly recognized. In 2001, President George W. Bush held a ceremony at the United States Capitol to award the Congressional Gold Medal to the first 29 code talkers, a historic recognition of their vital contribution during World War II. During the event, Bush highlighted the importance of their sacrifice and courage, stating, "The Navajo Code was decisive for the American victory. Their contribution will no longer be forgotten." The event was attended by descendants, veterans, and members of the Navajo community, making it a deeply emotional and historic moment. The book Code Talker, the first and only memoir by one of the original Navajo Code Talkers of World War II, written by Chester Nez, provides a first-hand account of the Code Talkers' experience. Nez, one of the 29 original members responsible for creating the code, describes in detail how the complexity of the Navajo language was transformed into a crucial weapon for the Allies' secure communications. The book also details the rigorous training, psychological pressures, and personal sacrifices faced by the code talkers, leaving a legacy that transcended generations. The legacy of the Navajo Code Talkers is one of ingenuity, resilience, and unshakable courage. These men who transformed their ancestral language into an unbreakable shield played an indispensable role in securing victory in the Pacific. Yet for decades, their contributions remained hidden in the shadows of history. Today, as we reflect on their sacrifices and achievements, we recognize that their bravery extends far beyond the battlefield. It is a testament to the power of cultural heritage and human determination. The next time you hear about World War II heroes, remember the voices that echoed across the Pacific, carrying messages of hope, strategy, and survival. The Code Talkers' story is not just history, it is a lesson in the strength of identity and the enduring impact of those who fight for a cause greater than themselves. Thank you for watching, and until next time.